I think that plays a part, obviously, when you have a roster where there's players coming back, returning with starting experience, playing experience. That definitely allows you to, or I would say it's less wide open spots. Now, I think if there would have been a draft where, we would have had, again, I forget how many, I don't even know how many we picked
6
overall, but 6 overall compared to 10, 14. But if it might have been a draft where you felt like the board could have given you 14 quality players, maybe you go that route. Again, if we'd have brought in 14 draftees, it's probably a hard roster to make, though.
Yeah. And I think it's the question, and from some of the things that we've done, and you're really saying, okay, the players that you're choosing, all right, what's the vision? How do you anticipate them contributing, not only for the 53, but for the 48? Are you going to be active? And obviously there's a lot of things that take place that we can't control, but I do think it's a credit to what's taken place over the last couple years. And I think in a lot of instances, because of some of the circumstances and situations that we've had, there's a patience that we've had and that we've learned as coaches to give guys an opportunity to come in. They're still going to earn it, but maybe they're going to get more reps than they would have gotten otherwise. I think it's a positive thing for us to be able to feel like, all right, we can go up and get some players that there was a consistent buy-in, appreciation for, and we call them HOTs. And they're all these guys, they had hot grades for the people that we had look at them when you're talking about coaches and Les's group. And when you can have that collective buy-in and then the vision, everybody feels like they want to bring it to life, and these players feel believed in, and that's so important to what we want to be about. I don't want to speak for you. I don't know if we ever anticipated getting a 1.
We might
that
have
was not
anticipated
something that we thought.
Trading back.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for
Not
future
that
pick.
you anticipated it, but once you have that in hand, moving forward through this draft, and I know it's too soon, but to look ahead to next year as well, you guys are set up pretty well.
1 year's like dog years to me in coaching, Gary. That's a long way away. So. As Les would
Sean
say,
in the marshmallow test doesn't.
The delayed
he
gratification.
Failed that.
Yes.
I don't know how you failed the marshmallow. He ate that immediately. Can I get another marshmallow?
Hey, easy, goose.
You know what? I'm jacked about this team, jacked to get started, but we're just getting started. So there's we're going to, as Sean always talks about now, build the foundation for what we're going to, attempt to do next season. And then you take it a phase and a month and a day at a time from there. But jacked, looking forward to going through the process to getting to week 1 where, we're 7 days away till they start keeping score and it counts.
I think the good thing is when you just look at the last 2 years, Sarah, and you really realize as much as you say, all right, we're going to carry some good momentum, I think you want to learn from stuff, but each of the last couple of years, it's a totally separate season. We want to be able to build. There is a lot of confidence, but it's got to be earned. You finish the season in 23, 7-1 down the stretch, you go toe-to-toe with Detroit, and then we start 1-4 this past year. And there's a variety of reasons I could give for that, but I think as you accumulate experience, there is an understanding of every year really is a new year. And when you draw on previous experience to understand that, you don't take for granted setting the foundation the right way. That's what we started talking about last week with the off-season program. These guys are people that we feel like will be a part of that, but they're going to earn it. And they're going to come into a great group of guys that are going to welcome them with open arms. But I do think that we're in a good position to be able to project a lot of confidence, but we've got to be able to go earn it. And then, you hopefully stay as healthy as you possibly can, which we've seen what a big deal that is, not only for us, but a lot of different teams across the league, and what is a really physical sport that we play.
When you talked about the class last year, you mentioned that an emphasis was guys who are smart, mentally and physically tough players who obviously fit the building. How would you, describe what you would use to describe what you?
We tried to keep the same theme going.
Yeah.
So be consistent with that theme, and we've keep applying it. It's worked to date, especially over the last 2 years and years before that.
No doubt. Yeah.
He said he wants to be called Pooh. It was definitely thumbs up, but in the way we do the process, each phase, there's different people that interact, and they interact with the players in a let's call it independent silo per se, and you like to compare what is coming back so that if there is any dissent or noise amongst the information that you're getting back, you then do you take it a step further to see if you can continue trying to answer the question or make it as clear a decision as possible. But he's definitely someone, through the vetting process, there was a lot of thumbs up, throughout he was at Arkansas, he was, transferred to Ole Miss. So there was a lot of thumbs up for him as a person and football player along the way.
In some of the conversations with all of the guys, they seem to be humble and grateful. Do you agree with that?
I know we talked about it last night with the hey, one call can change a life, and I know you can always feel that. It might. I mentioned to someone, and I hadn't seen all the calls that get tweeted out yet, but there was some calls. It might not. I always said there was some calls that were very similar to the Fisk first moment. It's just probably going to be a little less quiet, not as dramatic because it's two teammates coming together again. But you definitely felt some of that passion, that emotion. That you know what, I've dreamed about this. And now, wow, I get to start living that dream. So those are always cool.
You guys said,
No, you go ahead.
you guys said prior to the draft that you wouldn't rule out a reunion possibly with Jalen Ramsey. You had to get through the draft first, got through the draft. Is that something you guys are still open to? And what are some of the factors in that, considering that position's not addressed in the draft?
I think we're still getting through that process. Part of getting through the draft is also when it actually officially ends and then going through the undrafted free agent process. There's obviously, like we talked about, there still is a lot of layers, contract, compensation, different things like that. But there is a tremendous amount of appreciation that we have for Jalen, the time that we spent. He and I have really stayed in touch. I know it's the same thing with Aubrey and some of our other coaches. There's a lot of familiarity, but there still is, we're probably in the same position when we talked about it the other day, Jordan, just because there are some things that we still need to take care of to be able to truly get through the draft from the totality of it all. I think when you really look at it, unless obviously, being an Auburn alum, but you look at just the way that this guy played the game at a high level and, an incredibly competitive conference. And a lot of guys that are drafted that are playing on Sundays where he's got the ability to go through you or to be able to run away from you. And I think, we got a chance to spend a little bit of time with him as a coaching staff on a Zoom call. He had a great demeanor about himself, but when you put the film on, he lights up and you can really feel, his ability to have a recall and it means something to him, his security to be able to accept coaching and take accountability for some things that maybe he could improve upon. But I think the competitive stamina that you see, the production, you talk to a lot of coaches in that league that you have tremendous respect for, and the way that they spoke about Jarquez and going against him and what he meant to that football team and the competitiveness that he'd really displayed. And, and he can hit home runs for you too. You give him a vertical seam, he's got the ability to run away from you. I mean, some of the metrics that we have on him are really impressive, but, I texted Kyron how excited I am for him to be able to get a chance to learn from him. And be around him. And you talk about the epitome of a pro's pro, the way that he goes about his business day in and day out, and Kyron Williams. And it's the same thing. He'll get a chance to see how Blake Corum moves. What does Ronnie Rivers, how does he do his thing? Cody Schrader into his second year. So we were excited about him. And obviously Les and his group had a real appreciation for him. And then once the coaches laid eyes on him, there was a collective buy-in.
I see Taylor Morton's wife, Carissa, back in the back, I believe. Thomas Morton, her son, Taylor's son as well, spent some time at Auburn. So we got a little inside info on Mr. Hunter.
There you go.
Amy, I didn't mean to let you out, but we didn't draft any Gators, But you know what? The Gators won it all in basketball. They beat Auburn.
Last one.
Hey, Les, you guys have had a lot of success with small school transfers, moving up to larger programs and then succeeding initially with you guys. But in the case of a guy like Paul, when he gets a thumbs up from the Intel process, from the big school that he transferred from to the other big school, he's also getting the thumbs up character-wise from the previous school. Like, there's no hard feelings, any of that. Does that help you guys
That definitely weighs something, because I think when you do leave, right, there's oftentimes when you're leaving Arkansas to go to I guess you'd call it interconference rival, there's a chance for some bitterness for sure. So, and you can, and I'll be frank, in the vetting process, you can definitely feel some of those feelings along the way. In this case, it wasn't, and that's usually right. How he probably handles his day to day. Give him credit for that.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.